Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video on Amazon's New World. So, with beta due to kick off on the 20th of July, just a few days away, I really wanted to give kind of a brief summary of, well, what is New World all about? What has kind of changed in the game since we all got to play in the preview event last year? And then ask the question, is New World worth playing at beta launch? I guess at this point it's worth putting a small disclaimer to say that I am pretty excited for New World. I know I'm definitely going to be playing the beta, but I'm going to try to cover not only the positives of New World, but also some of the problems that the game has got and some of the issues it's had kind of over the last 6 months of development. So, as I mentioned, the beta is going to be kicking off on the 20th of July, and provisionally this is intended to run up until the 2nd of August. But after that, all the progress, all the servers are going to be completely wiped before the game has its full release on the 31st of August. So for some people, it's really not going to be worth spending too much time in the beta. You don't want to be grinding out loads of stuff because it's all going to get wiped at the end anyway, and realistically, you're only going to be looking at about 2 weeks before the servers close again. But for those of you who haven't been able to check out the MMO in alpha, or perhaps lost a little bit of interest in it, since the preview event last year, and really want to see what the game has become, how has it progressed over the last year, this is a really good opportunity for you to kind of get into the MMO, see what it's about, and see if it's going to be the game that you want it to be. Because boy has this MMO evolved over its lifetime. When you consider where the game was back at the preview event in August last year, it feels like New World has come along a tremendously long way. One of the real main criticisms of the game at that time was really the lack of content, particularly in the endgame and sort of the mid-game as well, because don't forget, not that long before, the game had transitioned from a full survivalist, full loot MMO into its current much more sort of traditional MMO format. And actually, it's quite a radically different type of game when you think about it, and that's required a serious amount of reworking on the part of the Amazon devs. At the time of that transition, there was obviously a lot of upset from the sort of more hardcore PvP side of the community over the change, and that's kind of very understandable. The game has changed a lot from what people initially thought it was going to be, but I think with the more recent additions, we are really starting to see pretty big improvements. The guys over at Amazon seem to have taken heart to the issues around the lack of sort of mid and end game content, and we've introduced a plethora of new features. For example, we've had new regions like Ebb and Scale Reach Weakwater. We've had the whole introduction of expeditions, Gardens of Genesis, Amrine Excavation, for sort of mid all the way up through to the end tier stuff. We've had things like Outpost Rush, which you can see on the screen now. All these features trying to sort of bulk out the end game content, adding a lot more there. And of course, there are still players that are disappointed with the direction of the MMO. But I think more recently we've started to hear some previously skeptical players starting to be won over with the speed and kind of the development direction in which the game has been going. And so in that sense, I think it's absolutely worth checking out what the guys over at Amazon have done in the beta. We have also seen a lot of improvements to the questing system in New World. If you, like me, spent any sort of amount of time playing in the preview event or the alpha, you'll soon have realised that the vast majority of not only the main storyline quests, but also all of those little side quests were either like go kill X, go collect X, and this really rapidly becomes a bit of a chore. So I'm glad they've decided to put a bit more effort into updating and improving the quest system. Not only have they kind of given it a bit more narrative flow, but they've added in a much larger variety of objectives and sort of quest-specific tasks that really should kind of help to mix and change things up a little bit more. We've also had kind of a bit more lore, and we've actually got NPC voiceover work done in the game now, so that also makes a big difference into making it a lot more immersive, particularly on the main storyline quest. And this means we actually now have a properly working, properly fleshed out questing system all the way up to the endgame, up to level 60. And we've even started to get weapon and armour specific quests as you get to the higher tiers as well. This all kind of helps to flesh out the game. It turns it from the sort of lifeless husk of a game that I think it was before, after it transitioned from that survival MMO, into a game that actually, has some meat on it, actually feels like it's something you want to play. However, it has not been all smooth sailing for New World, as more recently they have had a lot of problems and controversy over the whole cash shop situation. The whole thing kind of kicked off back with the May Alpha update, when they put a post on the closed Alpha forums which talked about the introduction and testing of a premium cash shop in-game. It started off pretty reasonably, talking about things like the sale of cosmetics, character skins, which I think, we'll all agree is perfectly acceptable sort of things to sell in store, but they included other things, dyes, company quest, emotes, all fine, completely happy with all that. But the post then went on to say they may also sell quality of life items and in-game boosters. Well, yeah, that went down well. Within hours of the post, it kind of been shared, and really Amazon had a pretty big and pretty angry mob on their doorstep before too long. Ultimately, they kind of went on to confirm a bit more that certainly nothing pay to win is going to come out at launch or within the first year, but it may get reviewed after that later on down the line. I'm still kind of not thrilled about this. I really think they would be much better off just flat out keeping it out the game, and I think they would be much better off at launch if they committed to that and just committed for that for the life cycle of the game, because I think more people would be interested then, more people would want to play, more people would be involved in the game. But I suppose to some extent in reality, a year after launch, I think most of us who play at launch are probably going to already be level 60. Boosters probably aren't going to make a great deal of difference to us because we're already going to be max level. I would kind of prefer to see a system more like World of Warcraft, where we have sort of set expansions, maybe one a year or something like that would be a more reasonable way of doing it. So when does the beta actually kick off? Well, as mentioned, the start date is July the 20th, with servers due to open at 4:30 PM UTC. You have to convert to whatever your relevant time zone is. They're also actually going to be doing a live stream 30 minutes before the servers open up, in which supposedly there may be some Twitch drops, so it may actually be worth hopping over and checking that out. The servers are then going to remain open until 7 AM UTC on the 2nd of August. Anyone who has pre-ordered the game will get access to the closed beta, and if you haven't pre-ordered, you still have a chance to be selected to play at random if you sign up through the website testing sign up. Finally, if you're coming to the game sort of quite close to the start, like after the 17th of July, or during testing, it's probably better to pre-order the game and get access through Steam, as it can take 48 hours to get your game key after ordering if you go just through the Amazon website itself. So, is the game worth checking out? In my opinion, absolutely. They've certainly had their share of problems. I was kind of particularly annoyed about the whole cash shop saga, but the game they've actually built is really looking very promising, and if the speed of development that we have seen over the last sort of 4 or 5 months is anything to go by, then we are going to be getting a lot more content and a lot more exciting additions coming to the game going forwards. We've seen some really good additions and some really nice progress. The quality of the game seems really good, and I've not really had any bugs or major game breaking issues, so I think it's going to be really quite good, and I honestly can't wait to get stuck into the game at beta. Going to be doing a lot of guides and coverage of the game once it comes out, so do be sure to subscribe to the channel for a lot more New World content. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see a few of you in the beta.